Hello everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a fantastic day and weekend with your family, whomever it is that you spend time with. I hope you're having a great one. We're taking a look here, of course, at XRP. Excuse me, I might clear my voice. I'm recovering from a cold. And what we're doing is, this is a request from my community members, of course. Brian, thank you so much for the request. We're going to go ahead and take a look and see kind of what's happening here, because it's definitely done pretty well for itself for the last 24 to 48 hours. I want to see if that's going to maintain itself or continue and kind of obviously go from there. So if you are new to the channel, just know I love teaching people to trade. I have a trading academy community and signal groups if you want to become a better trader. CryptoCache.tech is a website. Link in the description below where you can become a better, just overall well-rounded trader, right? I've had a lot of graduates recently doing very well, and I'm super thrilled and super happy about it. So absolutely something you want to check out. I also send out signals for every single trade that I take too. That's a really awesome experience. You can basically learn from what I do every single day. Last thing as well is I use BitGet. I used to use Bybit, but this is my favorite exchange moving forward. And I partnered with them specifically because they don't require KYC in the United States. And what that does, that allows for you to use leverage without a VPN. Really cool function, and more importantly, their platform is absolutely completely user-friendly and extremely beneficial. I like it a lot. Much better than Bybit. So again, recommend using this link if you want to go ahead and get registered so you can benefit from the bonus cash. All you got to do is really just deposit cash or USDT or whatever coin that you want. And then of course, furthermore, once you've done that, make sure you trade with volume. Okay, the key is to trade with volume. Otherwise, you won't get any benefit if you're not using their service, right? That's the whole purpose there. That's how they get you, right? So take a look here at XRP. Big picture, it's looking good for the most recent past, but why don't we go ahead and compare it with Bitcoin here and kind of just see if there's any correlation. And if you take a look here, I mean, minus this here, you can pretty much see that they're working fairly concurrent, okay? Again, we had this little dump right here from Bitcoin's dump, and we also see this decrease in value here, concurrent with a decrease in value here. Now, they're not exactly the same, don't get me wrong, but they're fairly synonymous in a lot of ways. You know, what one goes up, the other goes up, the one goes down, the other goes down. The thing that's different is that the behavior in the last 48 hours. This is absolutely different than what we're seeing from Bitcoin. It's a pretty massive jump if you compare that with Bitcoin here, right? Okay, so again, mostly good stuff in that sense. XRP is breaking free, for lack of better terms, and that's usually a positive sign. Doesn't mean it's just going to go run wild. There's still support and resistances we need to look at and help identify, but generally speaking, that's a positive to kind of see that disconnect and a nice separation, so to speak. That being said, looking at the RSI, we're back up over 50 on the daily. That's important. Bitcoin is struggling to do that right now. We're still under 50 on the RSI, so I can tell you that with Bitcoin struggling in that sense and XRP taking off, something either fundamentally has changed or just the general sense that it's been held down for too long and it has to come back up. You can only hold a flotation device underwater for so long, right? It's gonna have to surface. So again, good stuff there in that sense. We also got a MACD convergence, so to speak, basically bounced 2 days ago, which is right where this price action came down really low and then ramped up here recently. So we're gonna see if it's overextended as well, but you can see it working pretty clean within the Fibonacci retracement levels. It got rejected right there at about 37.8 cents. And this is what Fibonacci retracement level 1.414. So that is essentially a place in which I see the price action get rejected quite frequently, whereas we break through this key level resistance, it comes up to hit that, and then sometimes it'll come back down to bounce off that support level, or the previous resistance essentially. We'll see if that's a possibility based on its overextension, but the macro is looking fairly decent in the overall sense of things. Last thing we want to look at is the moving averages too. Kind of see here where we're at. We're up over the 50-day SMA, and this is a huge milestone to be above. You can see we treaded water there above that for about 4 days, and then we lost it, but it's right back again here. So I'd say this isn't full-on confirmation that we're above that because the candlestick hasn't closed yet, but it's certainly looking like a commanding step in the right direction, right? So that's very positive. If we take a look at the 4-hour, we can see the price action is above all 3 moving averages. Not a lot of coins can say that right now. That's a very positive thing as well. So it really just tells us we have a nice support channel right in the range of like 35 cents. In fact, if we take a look at the volume, we can see the largest amount of volume accumulation is in between 33 and 34. So 33 and 34 is a strong base. Obviously, that's why the price action kind of bounced where it did there. But generally speaking, we see the second most amount of volume right at 35.5. All right, so just important things to kind of recognize. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to hold as support or resistance, but it definitely gives you an indication of where you're at. Here's something we want to touch on though. 4-hour RSI is tentatively getting rejected at 70. Now, if we take a look at TD sequential, there's a great chance that we're getting overextended here, and we are in overtime. So when you see overtime, in other words, we've seen 9 4-hour candlesticks, 36 hours of continuation of the upside consistently. There has to be a pullback that comes from that. Doesn't necessarily have to come down, but it has to go sideways at the very least, right? So what I'm speculating is the best case scenario, we go sideways at this support here at about 37.2. Otherwise, we retrace back down to 50 on the RSI, which would put us somewhere in the range of 36 and or 35.5. Okay, one way or the other, we're probably going to get a bounce considering its momentum. It looks like it's fairly healthy. It's absolutely making higher lows and higher highs, and those are positive. So the thing you want to look at, though, too, the important thing to recognize is when you're trying to identify what it's going to do next, as long as it doesn't break below the most recent high, in other words, this little higher here, if it doesn't break below 35.5 cents, we're in good shape. In other words, we'll still be making higher lows and be all set and good to go. Okay, so if it does pull back, as long as it doesn't pull back past 35.5, I would say that the likelihood of it continuing higher is greater. Okay, and that's an ascending type of trend. And you'll also oftentimes see the 20-day simple moving average work concurrent with the trend line. So there's a very good chance that we're going to see a trend line occur here soon with the price retracing and bouncing. Okay, something I'm going to pay attention to, of course, and maybe take a look at later. For now, though, with the 1 hour, we can see here TD sequential is essentially telling us we hit overtime previously at a 9, came up 5 or 6 hours of extra innings, and then of course come on over here, of course, down to a 7, got a reset, nice consolidation period, and then right back up to an 8 right now. So we are overextended at an 8/9. You see two 9s in a row on TD sequential. I would expect a pullback. It's almost, I wouldn't say it's all guaranteed, but if I were to throw a statistic out there, because again, statistics are made up on the spot, right? We're looking at, I would say, somewhere in the range of 70 to 80% probability it's going to pull back on us based on that. What we also want to look at too, though, is standard deviation and kind of identify if the volume weighted average price is telling us we're overextended or not. It was previously. As you can see, we were kind of riding the lightning there, but with this consolidation of the support, we might be in good shape here because the volume weighted average price, basically what this is telling us is that the volume expressed as a price of the last 24 hours is telling us that 36.2 is essentially a support level. So this previous resistance should work as a support level once more, again, to hold the price action in place if it comes down based on the volume as well. Okay, so it's a volume weighted average price, and it helps you understand that standard deviation. Bollinger Bands does something similar too. It works on a different scale. But again, you can see it was outside the standard deviation, came back within, so we're no longer overextended, even though we have that overextension to the upside. As long as we can maintain this price point here, we should be in good shape. Heaven forbid it comes down to 36.2, that's perfectly fine, likely bounce spot. It's just, once again, we get down to below the 35.5 range, that's when we have problems. Okay, so I'd say a pullback would make sense, but if it continues higher, that would also be beneficial. Okay, so again, mostly good stuff here. All in all, I cannot complain with what I see. There's absolute potential for this to continue higher. Just to touch on some of these trend lines I have here, this is a descending trend in the most recent period, back starting in May. So since May, that's roughly 5 months ago, the price has been slowly making lower highs. We have a tentative higher high, but it's still getting rejected at this point. Okay, but good news is we have an ascending trend as well, and there's only so long that you can work yourself into this little wedge pattern before it breaks out either up or down. The likelihood of it going up then down from here is greater based on the amount of volume support, though, we have at this price point of 33 to 34 cents. All right. So again, mostly positive here in that regard. I would say the macro and micro look pretty good. We're just overextended, and I wouldn't expect the price to shoot up from here, but I would also anticipate if we get more consolidation, it will absolutely leg up next. XRP looks like it's ready to get back on track. I like what I see here so far. So really good stuff there in that sense. Hopefully this is a good learning experience for you. Again, you want to become a better trader. I have a trading academy, community, and signal group. Link in the description below. Be sure to check that out. Then of course, on the back end, register with BitGet. They have a fantastic exchange service. Some bonus USDT if you transfer and trade with them. Good stuff. Excellent. Recommend them highly. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you so much for your time. We'll see you in the next one.